Level 5, the fund starter. At 29, you officially open a small fund, nothing close to Wall Street size, but real, structured, and legally set up. You spend more time on compliance, reporting, and investor communication than you ever expected. This is the level where you realize managing money professionally is only 40% about picking good investments and 60% about structure, trust, and communication. Level 6, the strategy architect. At 32, your fund has grown enough that you can't rely on gut feeling alone anymore. You build systematic strategies, define clear entry and exit rules, and start using leverage carefully instead of avoiding it out of fear or using it recklessly out of greed. Bad months hurt more now because they're not just numbers, they're calls you have to make to investors explaining what happened and why you still believe in the strategy. Level 7, the multi-strategy manager. At 35, your fund runs multiple strategies at once, some designed to perform when markets rise, others designed to hold steady when markets fall. You stop trying to predict the market and start trying to build something that survives every version of it. Institutional investors start reaching out, asking serious, detailed questions your younger self would never have known how to answer. Level 8, the respected fund manager. At 40, your fund manages real institutional capital, pension allocations, family offices, serious money from serious people. Every decision now carries weight beyond your own account. You've survived at least one brutal market crash by this point, and it didn't just test your strategy, it tested your character under pressure that no book ever fully prepares you for. Level 9, the legacy manager. At 48, you run a hedge fund overseeing significant capital, built from that one late night in a college library reading about someone else's success and wondering if it was possible for you too. What changed wasn't a secret formula, it was every risk lesson learned early, every rule written after a painful mistake, every year spent building trust one investor conversation at a time. Younger analysts now study your track record the same way you once studied someone else's, and you realize the only real edge that lasts is discipline. Nobody sees, practiced quietly for decades before anyone was paying attention. Level 1, the curious outsider. You're 21 years old sitting in a college library at midnight, reading an article about a hedge fund manager who made more money in 1 year than most people make in a lifetime. You don't fully understand what a hedge fund even does yet, something about pooling money, betting against the market, strategies too complex for regular investors. But the idea plants itself in your head anyway. You open your first small brokerage account with money saved from a part-time job. It's nothing close to a hedge fund. It's barely an experiment. But for the first time, you're not just curious about markets, you're trying to think like someone who could actually run one someday. Level 2, the strategy chaser. At 23, you've read every book you can find about famous fund managers, trying to copy their exact strategies without understanding the reasoning behind them. You mimic trades you don't fully grasp and lose money doing it. You start to realize that copying a strategy without understanding risk is not investing, it's guessing with extra steps. This is the level where you first hear the term risk-adjusted return and quietly admit to yourself that you've been chasing returns without ever thinking about risk at all. Level 3, the risk student. At 25, you finally slow down and study risk management properly, position sizing, hedging, diversification across strategies instead of just assets. Your small portfolio stops swinging wildly and starts moving with more control. You're still far from managing anyone else's money, but you start keeping detailed records of every trade, every mistake, every reasoning behind a decision, like you're building a track record even though nobody's watching yet. Level 4, the disciplined trader. At 27, your personal portfolio has a real track record now, consistent enough that a few friends and family members ask if you can manage a small amount of their money too. You hesitate because now the pressure isn't just about your own money anymore. You start operating with rules stricter than before, because a mistake with someone else's capital feels completely different than a mistake with your own.